The day my life flipped upside down started with an unplugged charger, a cracked countertop, and a boss who said he'd fire me if I clocked in one more minute late. I sprinted into Circuit Doctors, the discount tech repair shop squeezed between a vape store and a pawn shop in Scottsdale, Arizona, with exactly 34 cents in my checking account and a knot in my stomach big enough to choke me. My mom's latest hospital bill was due that night. Rent was past due, and if I lost this job, we'd be one unlucky break away from losing everything. I shoved my hair into a ponytail, grabbed an apron, and slid behind the counter just as the front door chimed. That was when the temperature in the room dropped, like someone had opened a freezer and pushed the Arctic breeze inside. The man who walked in didn't look like he belonged anywhere near a strip mall tech shop. He was tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a tailored charcoal suit that fit too perfectly not to be custom-made. His presence shifted the air, still, controlled, quietly commanding. His eyes, a piercing gray-blue, swept across the shop like he was scanning for threats. And then he said the words that made every thought in my brain detonate. "Which one of you touched my laptop?" Not a question. A judgment. My coworkers froze like rabbits spotting a wolf. My boss, Rick, swallowed hard and tried to disappear behind a stack of refurbished printers. I felt their eyes land on me, because of course I was the one who had handled check-ins that morning. I stepped forward, forcing my voice not to wobble. I checked it in. Is there a problem?" His gaze snapped to mine. Sharp, assessing, the kind that sliced through excuses, lies, defenses, straight to the truth. "What's your name?" he asked. Emma Reyes." He nodded once, like he had filed the information into a mental vault. "I'm Cole Harrington." He said it without flourish, without ego. Just fact. But the name hit me like a punch. That Harrington. The founder and CEO of Harrington Cyber Defense, the most elite private cybersecurity firm in the country. Their clients included the Pentagon and at least 3 federal agencies. His company had been on the news last month for single-handedly shutting down a major ransomware ring. This man lived in a world of high power and higher stakes. And he was glaring at me like I'd personally betrayed him. "I brought my laptop in for a minor software fix," he continued, holding the sleek black machine like it might explode. "Since picking it up, I've had multiple intrusion alerts. Attempts to breach encrypted files that should be impossible to access." I felt the blood drain from my face. "Sir, I didn't tamper with anything. I only ran diagnostics and cleared corrupted cache files." He finished for me, his voice low. "Yes, and yet the breach attempts began immediately after." I stepped back, my pulse hammering. Rick shot me a murderous look, as if I had chosen to offend a billionaire on purpose. "Mr. Harrington," Rick sputtered, "I assure you we run a clean operation. Maybe you had the problem before—" Cole cut him off with a single raised hand. "Save it." His attention returned to me. "Miss Reyes, come with me." My breath stuttered. What? Why?" "Because if your shop was used as an access point," he said calmly, "you may have been observed. Or compromised." My heart flipped over. Observed? By who? His jaw flexed. "People who do not hesitate to eliminate loose ends." Loose ends. The words sucked all the oxygen from the room. Rick practically shoved me forward. "Go with him, Emma. Don't make a scene." I stared at him. "You're sending me off with a stranger who thinks I hacked him?" But when I turned back to Cole, something unexpected flickered beneath his severity, an almost imperceptible note of patience, or protection. "If you're innocent," he said quietly, "you have nothing to fear with me." The way he said it, absolute, certain, sent a chill through me. Because I believed him. I followed him out of the shop and into the blinding Arizona sun. Cole's SUV looked like it belonged in a convoy, black, armored, silent as a panther. He opened the passenger door. "Get in." I hesitated. "Am I being detained?" "No." His voice softened by a fraction. "You're being safeguarded." "From what?" "From the kind of people who target me." The way he said it made my skin prickle. I climbed in. He didn't speak during the drive, but I kept sneaking glances at him. He looked carved from focus. Square jaw, dark hair with just enough silver at the temples to make my stomach flip, hands steady on the wheel. He was intense, controlled, dangerous, but not to me. Not yet. 15 minutes later, we turned into a private road leading to a massive mirrored building surrounded by steel fencing and uniformed guards. Harrington's Cyber Defense, I whispered. Cole parked, stepped out, and came around to open my door. He didn't guide me with a hand on my back, but somehow I followed him as if tethered. Inside, the lobby was all chrome and glass, humming with security scanners and silent efficiency. He took me straight to a secured floor, flashed his credentials, and led me into a sleek, windowless room filled with screens and locked cabinets. Sit, he instructed gently. I did. He set his laptop on the table between us, opened a series of encrypted windows faster than my eyes could follow, and checked each for tampering. Then he stopped. His shoulders loosened. Just barely. You didn't cause the breach. Relief crashed over me so forcefully my hands shook. But, he continued, turning the laptop so I could see a blinking red icon on the screen, someone attempted to piggyback through the network you used. I frowned. But our shop Wi-Fi is basic. Cheap. Why would anyone... To hide, Cole said simply. To blend in with civilian noise. A small, low-security shop provides the perfect mask. I swallowed hard. So, someone used us to get to you. He nodded. And now, he said quietly, they might know your face. A tremor rolled up my spine. I don't understand. Why would anyone target you specifically? His eyes held mine. Because I have information they want. Information worth billions. Information some people would kill for. My mouth went dry. A beat passed, then another. He exhaled and rubbed the back of his neck, the first gesture that suggested he was human underneath all that armor. I'm not going to sugarcoat this, he said. You're safer with me than anywhere else right now. You want me to stay here? Yes. I can't just vanish. I have a job. My mom, I'll cover your shifts, he cut in. I'll notify whoever you need. I'll ensure your mother is taken care of. That stopped me cold. You don't even know me. You didn't lie, he said simply. You didn't hide anything, and you didn't panic until you had reason to. He paused. And people have killed for less trustworthy traits. Something warm and terrifying pulled tight in my chest. I barely knew this man. I should have been afraid. But the truth was, something about him made me feel safer than I'd felt in a long time. Okay, I whispered. He nodded once. Good. But before I could breathe, a shrieking alarm tore through the building. The lights shifted to red. Cole's expression turned lethal in an instant. He grabbed my wrist, not roughly, but firmly, and pulled me toward the door. What's happening? I gasped. He didn't look back. They found us. Who? Stay behind me, he ordered, voice low and deadly calm. And in that moment, I understood something with absolute clarity. Whatever world this man lived in, I had just been pulled into the center of it. And danger wasn't coming. It was already here. The alarm cut through the building like a blade, sharp and merciless. Red emergency lights strobed across the hallway as Cole pulled me behind him, his grip firm and unyielding. Every instinct screamed at me to panic, but the terrifying part was how steady he stayed, even as chaos erupted. Do not leave my side, he said, voice low enough that only I could hear it. We moved fast, past reinforced doors sealing shut, past security teams sprinting toward the threat. The whole building was going into lockdown, but Cole moved like a man who already had the entire escape mapped out. He led me into a secure elevator that dropped so fast my stomach lurched. When the doors opened, we stepped into a cavernous room humming with screens and stations, like the nerve center of a classified government facility. Analysts rushed between monitors. Lines of code, maps, and threat grids flashed everywhere. The moment Cole entered, the room snapped to focus. Status, he barked. A woman with a headset spoke rapidly. Attempted breach at level 3 firewall. No internal penetration. Vector unknown. Unknown? Cole's tone was cutting steel. We've never seen this signature before. Cole inhaled deeply, the kind of breath someone takes before making a decision that could change everything. Then he turned to me. In here. His hand cupped my shoulder, guiding me into a glass-walled side room overlooking the command center. He closed the door carefully, not slamming it, but sealing us inside a bubble of tense silence. My heart pounded against my ribs. Is this about me? I whispered. His eyes softened in a way that unnerved me more than the alarms. No, this was coming whether you touched that laptop or not. But why did it start after? Because you were the easiest point of entry. His jaw tensed. They used you, Emma. Not because you matter to them, but because you matter to me now. I froze. The implication hung heavy between us. He looked away, running a hand through his hair, a rare crack in his composure. You didn't ask for any of this, he murmured. But I can't pretend you're not in danger anymore. I swallowed. So what happens now? You stay here, with me, until I know who's behind this. I pressed my palms to the cool glass. Below, dozens of experts worked to contain the threat. It looked surreal, like watching a high-budget movie through a window, except my life was somehow wrapped up in the script. Cole came closer, his presence warm despite the icy air conditioning. I need you to trust me, he said. I do. His eyes flickered with something I couldn't quite name. Gratitude? Relief? Fear? Before I could ask, the door burst open. A young analyst, barely older than me, panted, Mr. Harrington, sir, we found the breach route. Cole's voice dropped. Tell me. The analyst swallowed, glancing awkwardly at me. It originated near her address. The room tilted. My knees went weak. Cole moved before I did, positioning himself so quickly between me and the analyst that I almost didn't see him shift. Meaning, Cole demanded, meaning whoever did this used a network relay less than half a mile from her apartment. It was intentional. My throat closed. Someone had been close. Watching. Waiting. The analyst left quickly, sensing the storm gathering in Cole's expression. When the door shut again, the silence felt heavy enough to crush me. Cole turned, anger simmering beneath the surface, not at me, but for me. Pack a bag, he said quietly. You're not going back home. Cole, no. His voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Emma, listen to me, this is not a game. Someone set up a relay near your building. That means they were scouting your surroundings, tracking your patterns. If you go back there tonight... He stopped, jaw clenched so tight I thought it might crack. I won't risk you. The words warmed and terrified me in equal measure. I don't have anywhere else to go, I admitted, my voice cracking. You do now. His gaze locked onto mine. With me. My breath caught. This man, this powerful, guarded, impossibly controlled man, was offering me safety at a time when my life was falling apart in every other direction. But safety wasn't the only thing he was offering. Beneath his words, something deeper pulsed. Connection, attachment, maybe even longing. I couldn't let myself think too hard about that. He nodded toward the glass. Come on, let's get you settled. We left the command center through a private corridor. Cole didn't say much, but his hand hovered near my back like he was ready to catch me if I stumbled. We reached a small elevator that rose silently to one of the top floors, into a space that didn't look like an office at all. It looked... personal. A minimalist suite with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Phoenix skyline. Clean lines, soft lighting, a faint hint of cedar and something undeniably him. This is your apartment? I asked. One of them, he replied, lowering the security shades with a swipe on his phone. But this floor has the best perimeter monitoring. You'll be safe here. I swallowed. Are you staying too? His eyes flicked to mine. Do you want me to? I didn't know how to answer that. Silence stretched until he stepped forward, stopping just a foot away, close enough for his warmth to brush my skin without touching me. I won't leave until you tell me you're comfortable, he said. His voice had softened, losing that sharp executive edge. This was a different version of him, one I hadn't earned but somehow had access to anyway. I exhaled shakily. I feel safer with you. Something shifted in his expression, like the word struck a part of him he'd buried years ago. Good, he murmured. Then I'm staying. He insisted I eat something first. I didn't want to. My stomach was a knot, twisted tight with fear and adrenaline. But Cole stood in the kitchenette, sleeves rolled up to his forearms, heating a meal like he had done this 1,000 times before. You cook? I asked. A faint smile, so faint I almost missed it, tugged at the corner of his mouth. I survive. He set a plate in front of me. Eat. I didn't question him. I was too tired, too scared, too overwhelmed. Halfway through the meal, he sat across from me, watching quietly. Tell me about your mother, he said softly. The words hit harder than any alarm. She's been sick a long time, I murmured. I've been trying to keep us afloat. It's been exhausting. He nodded, eyes full of something like understanding. You shouldn't have to carry that alone. I don't have much choice. You do now. I looked up sharply. He held my gaze, unblinking. When the current threat is handled, I want you to work here. With me, full time. My fork clattered against the plate. Cole, I'm not qualified to. You're smarter than half the interns I've hired. You're meticulous. You caught things in the diagnostics my team missed. His voice gentled. And I trust you. Trust. That word again. My chest tightened painfully. You barely know me, I whispered. He leaned forward. That's not true. There was something in his tone, something dangerous and tender and honest, that made my pulse race. Before I could respond, a sudden alarm chimed through the penthouse. Lower, different from before. Cole stood so fast his chair barely made a sound. That's the secondary alert, he said. Someone just pinged your apartment IP directly. My heart stopped. They know where you live, he finished quietly. Fear punched the air from my lungs. He moved toward me, slow but purposeful, like approaching something fragile. Then he rested a steady hand on my shoulder. Emma, he said gently, I need you to listen very carefully. I forced myself to look up. You are not going back there, he said. Ever. Not until this is over. A tear slipped down my cheek before I could stop it. His thumb brushed it away. Soft, careful, reverent. And the moment his skin touched mine, the truth hit me. I wasn't just afraid of the danger outside. I was afraid of what this man was beginning to mean to me. Cole stepped back, breathing hard as if forcing restraint. I'll protect you with everything I have, he said. But staying here, close to me, it won't be easy, not for either of us. The air between us tightened, electric and fragile. Why? I whispered. His eyes burned into mine. Because what I feel for you is something I shouldn't. The floor might as well have vanished beneath my feet. But before I could speak, footsteps thundered in the hallway outside the penthouse. Cole's expression hardened. They're here. And just like that, the fragile, unspoken thing between us shattered under the weight of danger closing in. The footsteps outside the penthouse door were too heavy, too deliberate, too close. Cole reacted instantly, like something buried in his instincts snapped awake. He pulled me behind him with one hand, grabbed something from a drawer with the other, and motioned me toward a reinforced wall panel. Stay behind me, Emma, he whispered. No matter what. I wasn't breathing. I wasn't thinking. My entire body felt like a single pulsing heartbeat. The footsteps stopped. Right. Outside. The door. Cole's hand tightened around whatever he had grabbed. Something metallic, glinting faintly in the low light. A keypad by the door flashed red. Someone was trying to override the entry lock. My stomach dropped. Cole, I whispered, is this... Yes. His voice was harsh, quiet. They found us. A long, agonizing second passed, and then the keypad flashed green. The door eased open. I flinched behind Cole, bracing for the worst. But instead of armed intruders, 3 members of Cole's top security team entered, sweaty, breathless, apologizing before they even stepped fully inside. "False alarm," one of them panted. "We were checking perimeter signals. The relay glitch triggered the override." Cole's entire body deflated, the tension draining from his shoulders in a wave. I sagged too, nearly collapsing. He dismissed the team with sharp instructions to run full diagnostics, secure the floor, and update him every 10 minutes. When the door finally closed again, the silence felt like a held breath. I hadn't realized until then that my hands were shaking. Cole noticed. He crossed the room in 2 strides and took them in his, gently prying my fingers apart. "It's over," he murmured. "You're safe." "You said that earlier," I whispered, voice trembling. "But it feels like danger keeps chasing us." His expression cracked, softening, hurting. "I know, and I'm sorry." His hands came up to cup the sides of my arms, warm and steady. I felt myself leaning toward him without meaning to. His presence grounded me, anchored me, made the fear ebb ever so slightly. "You shouldn't have been dragged into this," he said softly. "If I had acted sooner—" "You protected me," I said. "You didn't have to." The way he looked at me then. God. It felt like it peeled back every guarded layer he'd built over years. "I did have to," he murmured. "I felt responsible for you since the second you looked at me and told the truth. Do you realize how rare that is in my world?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because his eyes, usually so intense, so unreadable, were suddenly burning with unspoken emotion. He stepped back slightly, only enough to let out a shaky breath. "I need to show you something," Cole said. "So, you understand why I've been pushing you away while trying to protect you?" He walked to a bookshelf along the far wall and pressed a hidden latch. A small, concealed safe opened behind it. From inside, Cole pulled a slim, worn leather folder. He brought it to the table, motioned for me to sit, and opened it. Inside were grainy photographs, printed documents, and a single death certificate. My heart clenched. He touched the edge of the certificate gently, his jaw tightening. "I told you I'd lost someone once. Someone I should have protected." I swallowed. "Your partner?" He shook his head slowly. "My younger sister, Ava." Shock rippled through me. He stared down at the file, eyes far away. She was 22, smart, curious, too trusting. She borrowed my old laptop one weekend for a research project, not knowing someone had been trying to breach my system. They tracked her, targeted her, robbed her, and left her in an alley. His voice broke on the last word. My chest ached so hard I could barely breathe. "Cole," I whispered. "I was supposed to keep her safe." He closed his eyes, pain etched into every line of his face. Instead, I led danger straight to her. I vowed I'd never let another person get close, never put anyone at risk again, especially not someone innocent. And suddenly everything made sense. His walls, his distance, his intensity around me. He wasn't just afraid of danger. He was afraid of losing someone again. Slowly, I reached out and placed my hand over his. He didn't move for a moment. Then he let out a breath that sounded like surrender and covered my hand with his other one. "You're nothing like her," he said softly. "But when I realized someone might be targeting you because of me, it felt like history repeating. And His voice strained. "I can't lose another innocent woman because of my mistakes." "You won't," I said firmly. He shook his head. "You don't know that." "But I know you," I whispered. That stopped him. He lifted his eyes, and the raw vulnerability there made my heart twist. "Emma," he said hoarsely, "I shouldn't feel the way I do about you." "And how do you feel?" The question hung between us, fragile and dangerous. He stood slowly, pulling me to my feet with him. His hands rested lightly on my arms, like he was afraid I might break. "I care about you," he said, voice low, steady. "More than I should. More than is safe. And every part of me is fighting it." My heart pounded so loudly I almost couldn't hear my own voice. "Are you still fighting now?" He didn't answer. Instead, he brushed a strand of hair behind my ear with devastating tenderness. "No," he murmured. "Not anymore." The confession unraveled something inside me. Fear, longing, hope, all tangled into one breathless moment. He leaned in, forehead touching mine, the warmth of him wrapping around me. "I'm in dangerous territory with you," he whispered. "But I can't step back anymore." I closed my eyes. "Then don't." He cupped my face with both hands, his thumbs grazing my cheeks like he was memorizing every inch. "This isn't something I do lightly," he said. "I don't let people in, not into my life, not into my heart." I opened my eyes. "You already have." That broke him. Or maybe it fixed him. Because suddenly, carefully, he pulled me against his chest. I felt his breath tremble as he held me, really held me, as if letting go might destroy him. For a long moment, we stayed like that, the entire world quiet around us. By morning, the threat had been traced. Cole stood beside me in the command center, his hand brushing mine whenever we shifted. The analysts had tracked the breach to a shell company tied to a competitor, someone desperate to steal Harrington's encrypted client list. The danger wasn't gone, but the immediate threat to me was. Cole turned to me, relief and something like pride lighting his expression. "It's over. You're safe." I exhaled shakily. "What happens now?" He hesitated. Then he took my hand fully, interlacing our fingers, letting the world see. "Now," he said softly, "I stop pretending I don't want you here." My chest tightened. "In this company?" I asked. He shook his head. "In my life?" The words wrapped around me like sunlight. "I don't know what the future looks like for us," he admitted. "I'm older. My world is complicated, dangerous. But if you want this, if you want me, I'll spend every day earning it. Earning you." Emotions swelled in my throat, impossible to speak around. So instead of answering with words, I stepped closer and pressed my forehead to his chest. His arm slid around my waist instantly, pulling me against him as if it was the most natural thing in the world. "I want you," I whispered. "All of you, even the complicated parts." His breath hitched, a sound of disbelief and something deeper. "You have no idea what that means to me," he murmured. I looked up at him, smiling through the tears I didn't bother to hide. "Then show me." And he did, pulling me into a kiss that wasn't rushed or heated or frantic, but slow, deep, certain. A vow instead of a hunger, a beginning instead of an escape. When he pulled back, he rested his forehead against mine. "Welcome to my life, Emma Reyes," he whispered. "Stay as long as you'll have me," I breathed. His smile was soft, real, rare. Forever. And in his arms, for the first time in years, forever didn't feel like a fantasy. It felt like home. Enjoyed the story? I'd love to hear from you. If this slow burn age gap romance pulled at your heart, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next episode. Comment your favorite moment. Was it their first near kiss? The laptop repair? Share this story with someone who loves addictive emotional romance just as much as you do. Your support helps these stories come to life. Thank you for listening.